Hello, Captains. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Check it out. This is the Science Vanguard Tier 6 Starship, also called the Crossfield-Class, better known as the USS Discovery in Star Trek Discovery. That's right, I've got the ship, and today I am just going to show you a brief preview of what to expect with this ship. I didn't want to wait and do a full-on review with this ship because I have now equipped it and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I wanted to get this preview up very quickly for you all so that you can see what this ship is all about and what it can do and what it looks like in combat. And to do that, I do not have a full build just yet. My hotbar is a mess, as you can see. I do not have everything equipped correctly on it. The build is not the final build, and it's missing some things, and my powers are not what I want my powers to be. So everything's pretty much messed up right now, but I can still show you this preview today, and that's what I want to do. We're just simply going to take this thing into combat, and I'm going to show it to you in combat. Now, what I am flying on this thing is these sensor, well, there are actually three different ones. There's an emitter-linked phaser weapon, there's an integrity-linked phaser weapon, and then there's a sensor-linked phaser weapon, all phaser-based energy. However, I actually don't have all of those. I think I only have the emitter-based ones and the sensor-based ones on right now, and I'm using all beams, what would be single beams, but the way they fire is like a pulse cannon, so it's not exactly going to fire like the beams you're used to, even though it is a single beam. I am not using the default weapons that the ship comes with, which are Mark 10 level, and they are just uncommon Mark 10s. I went ahead and I do have Mark 14 Epic of the emitter-linked ones, emitter-linked beam, and the sensor-linked beam, and they are very expensive on the exchange, by the way, but that is the unique weapon that the ship comes with. That's how it fires its weapon, and it's very strange, actually. The forward array that it has by default has a would be a dual beam bank, a single beam bank, and then it has just a regular dual cannon and then a single cannon up front. I don't know why you would ever want to waste a slot on just one single cannon. That ain't gonna do nothing. And then it had one turret in the back. Kind of a strange configuration by default. But we'll go over that in the full review, and I'll show you what it had by default and then what I've done to it in the end. But right now I am firing those single beam, all single beam and one dual beam of those special emitter linked and sensor linked phaser energy weapons. Also, I have the Starship trait fully unlocked on this ship. Also, I have the unique console ready to go called the Lorca maneuver. You're going to see both of those in combat. So without further ado, this is just a preview. This is just a quickie. We're going to get in and we're going to do some combat, and I'm going to let you see what this thing looks like in combat. So that's pretty much it. We're going to start by doing a pugged Borg red alert. We're going to do all of the red alerts, but we'll start with this one. Probably do an ISA as well. And again, just a pug, so it could go good, could go bad. Here's my power levels. You can see them all right here. This is a science build, obviously, and I am using currently some science gear on here. I have the Delta Alliance deflector, warp core, shield, and engine on here right now. But here we go. Obviously you can see the unique weapon fire it has. I want to show you what the Starship trait does. To do that, I'm going to enable beam overload. So check this out. Beam overload. Now watch this. There's the trait. It's a copied version of my ship. Thank you. So it's a copied version of my ship that spore drives in and does that Lorca maneuver thing all over the place and fires torpedoes at the enemy. It's a duplicate, basically, of my ship, and that's the trait. You have to use either beam overload or like cannon rapid fire for that to work. And there's a lockout on it until a certain time.
We are aboard. Surrender your vessel and prepare for assimilation.
Now again, I don't have
futile.
I don't have all my proper bridge officer powers that I want to have set up here correctly just yet. I just threw this together and I've been just practicing with it and decided to make this video so that you guys can just get an idea of what the ship is like.
Resistance detected. Unimatrix 0047.
Here,
5 of 10. Engaging now.
I want to show you the console power. So basically, I come in, I do damage, I let a bunch of torpedoes, and then I transport back.
Lower your shields and await assimilation.
So there's some basic combat. We'll do some more. Basically, you see that the way that the trait works is you have to either use beam overload or cannon rapid fire. I believe it's rapid fire. And that allows the Starship trait to work. That is tied into that ability. And yes, this thing does support cannons all the way up to dual heavy cannons. So you can have single beam or dual beam or a dual cannon or single cannon or turrets in the back or dual heavy cannons in the front. It supports all those configurations, which makes it very flexible. Let's do Red Alert Tholian. Now the way the console works is it teleports you forward to your enemy, and then it sets off a salvo of torpedoes, and then it teleports you back to where you started. So it teleports you forward, you're doing damage, and it does other things too. And then it teleports you back, and it sets off a whole wad of torpedoes. That's how the console works. That's called the Lorca maneuver. Even though I'm behind it, or it's behind me, it'll still set off those torpedoes. So there you go. There's another quick little combat scenario there. Let's do something else. Let's go ahead and do... kind of want my stuff to cool down here first, though. I was just looking to see if I had any damage. Here's the build right now, as it currently is. Unfinished, but kind of gives you an idea of how it's currently set up. These are the integrity linked phaser dual beam banks. I do have one I do have one integrity linked. Then I have 2 or 3 emitter linked phaser beam arrays, and then I have a sensor linked. So yeah, I got 3 emitter linked and 1 sensor linked. These are expensive as crap, let me tell you. These are expensive and not easy to get, but I did. And it's a very interesting way to fire a weapon, that's for sure. Let's go to, let's do a Zenkethi red alert. I'm not sure if that'll pop in time, so let's also do ISA. So this ship actually maneuvers very well. I was concerned at first that it may be a very slow-moving ship. It's really not a slow-moving ship. Here's a Zenkethi red alert. It actually turns good. I don't think it turns quite good enough for cannons, though. There's kind of the turn rate right there. If I had all frontal cannons on this thing, you know, and we're going to use cannons, I don't think it turns fast enough. I think you would want some turn buffs on there, like pilot, maybe a tachykinetic converter, maybe an RCS, something to help improve the turn rate, because I don't think it's fast enough turn rate for cannons, although it can support it. And again, it did have some configuration of cannons as its default configuration. But I feel it kind of is better with the beams because I can fire broadside and I can just fire all around me with all those beams. But here we go, Zenkethi Red Alert. It's a long ship. It kind of, the nacelles disappear into the HUD because I don't like a real zoomed out. A lot of people like to play like all the way zoomed out or whatever. I don't really like to play zoomed out like that. I like to play kind of zoomed in. And then the nacelles kind of hide behind the HUD. So that's interesting. Because they are so long. I mean, look at the length of these nacelles. I mean, that is just incredible. And the saucer is so tiny.
All ships, this is Martok. Prepare for battle.
This is Captain Vanguard. Burn that planet at once. Ignore the Butcher. Concentrate fire on the planet. I will deal with him later.
Destroy enemy battleships to bring out their dreadnought. They're launching protomatter torpedoes. Destroy them and take out those ships! Hit their cruisers first. They're the backbone of a Zenkethi fleet.
There, it should fire those there. See, there's my torpedoes. They do fire behind me.
We've lost the satellite. Watch for torpedo attacks.
Tolerate these delays. Purge the planet now.
Got another one to deal with. Let's see if I can take care of it.
Congratulations, Captain.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I love it when I get it. So yeah, I took on that by myself and I got it. So that shows you I can take on one of those whole, when I'm all charged up, I can take on one of those whole groups here by myself actually.
There's the Senkethi flagship. Destroy it at once.
Already lost that satellite. Whoa, ow.
Excellent work.
Cool. There you go. That's a Senkethi red alert. Let's do one more thing just to give you a better idea on the Starship trait and the ability that it has. Let's do a solo thing. Let's do a solo one. We'll do a patrol. Let's make sure I don't have any damage. No damage? Okay. Let's do a solo patrol just so I can draw out the features specifically to show you how they operate on this ship. And then I'll give you my overall opinions so far playing with this ship. Alright, let's go to good old Japori. Who would have thought we'd be flying this ship in this game? A ship from a new TV series that isn't even on TV. It's on CBS All Access. And quite a debatable series at that. Love it, hate it. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground on it. You either love it or hate it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I am the middle ground. Okie dokie. First, I will demonstrate the Starship traits. To do that, I will hit beam overload. And there it goes. That is the trait right there. That ship that is warping all around it. Okay. I'll do the trait one more time. There it goes. Okay. By the way, if you're wondering why this looks a little difficult, considering I have Mark 14 epic weapons, I am on advanced difficulty. So I am using the advanced difficulty of these patrols, so that has heightened the difficulty level. Let's warp out of this though. I want to demonstrate now that we've looked at the Starship trait by itself, let's look at the Lorca maneuver by itself. I'm going to quickly go to Karaya on a Romulan ship here, and where are we? Karaya. Going to go to Karaya, and on the Dederidex Romulan ship in this patrol, we're going to do the Lorca maneuver, and you will see what that does. Basically, again, it will teleport toward the enemy, does a bunch of stuff which we'll go over in the full review. It also fires a big salvo of torpedoes, and then it teleports me back to where I was. Now, interestingly enough, even if I have a torpedo in the forward weapon area, and yet the enemy is behind me, that torpedo salvo will still fire at the enemy behind me. They'll shoot out and travel backwards behind me to the enemy. So it doesn't matter if I'm even facing the enemy with the Lorca maneuver. Those torpedoes are going to hit your target no matter which way you're facing. I found that to be interesting. So you cannot miss with that torpedo salvo. So here we go. So what I'm going to do, of course I do have to target the enemy. I'm going to target the enemy, buff up, I'm going to start firing, and then Lorca maneuver. See, they're behind me, but the torpedoes are still going to hit. And there we go. And then I can do the trait on top of that. Just like that. So that basically demonstrates the two native features of the ship, the Lorca maneuver and the Starship trait, which I forgot the name of. It's called Black Alert. So that demonstrates the Black Alert Starship trait and the Lorca maneuver. And then again, for the weapons, it is a dual beam bank, and a single and a single, and a single and a single. And then I also have a trilithium enhanced omnidirectional, which I may or may not use in the final build. I'm not sure. But at any rate, that is what's on here. So those single and dual beam banks fire like pulse things, pulse cannons or whatever. So again, I'll just demonstrate the weaponry here.
Ship is
So you get the idea of how that fires. All right, let's go back home. Now this is cool. Watch when we transwarp here. We're going to transwarp to the Soul. Nope. It does the mycilium spore jump to transwarp. So, this has been just a preview of this ship. Again, not the final build that I'm going to use. Not the final bridge officer powers. Everything's a mess. Starship traits and all that are not set except for the one I'm using. The Black Alert. So there's things to set up on this ship and get it going a little bit better. I am torn on the weapon setup, to be honest with you. It is flexible in that it can use cannons, and I have tried cannons and I may try it again. I don't know if I'm going to stick with a beam setup or a cannon setup. Honestly, I really don't know. I may do both. I may review it with both. I may do some battle with the beam banks, and then I may do some with the cannons just to show you both styles, because I'm really not sure what is best suited for this ship. It's in a unique position. I've never had a science ship that acts so tactically inclined. I mean, I can fire it like an escort, and it's actually very maneuverable, and a science ship that can fire cannons. That is a rare thing indeed. So I might want to go with cannons. I'm just not sure. I will say that the firing of these sensor integrity linked things are interesting. I don't particularly like it. I'd rather have a solid beam. I may also try my regular anti-proton build that I use, just to see what regular beams look like with this ship rather than that pulse stuff. But I don't know. I guess there's just so many ways you can build this ship, and I'm kind of torn on what my final build will be like. And again, it's not really about the build when I review these ships, but of course I have to use something when I review them. So I may just show you several builds. I may show you a cannon build and a beam build and a totally different build altogether. I think with this ship it has that flexibility to do that. So far it's been an interesting ship. Is it my favorite ship? No. It's not the worst ship I've ever flown, though. It has impressed me in the sense that I don't hate it. So there's that. Now the look of the ship is really funky. It's hard to get used to. That saucer is so tiny compared to this weird triangle crap that's going on here. And then the long nacelles. I mean, this is the Phase 2. We all know what it is. We all know that it was rejected. We all know that. And there's a reason why it was rejected. It's a stupid design. It really is. There's so many things about it I could tweak to make it look better. But it is what it is, and this is what it's going to be. I think it looks funky. I don't think it, I don't think it could end up being my final ship that I would use in game. I'm just not sure yet. It's too early to tell. Too early to tell. Again, this is just a preview, so it's too early for me to tell really all about that. All I can say is I like the trait. The trait is cool. The Lorca maneuver is actually kind of cool too. And the otherwise, yeah, I'm not really sold yet on these phaser weapons that it comes with and how they fire. I just kind of, it reminds me of the Kelvin timeline ship and how it fires and the sound it makes. Don't really like that. I'd rather have just a beam, a solid beam, or if I'm going to use cannons, just use cannons. So yeah, not quite sold on the weaponry of the ship yet. It's the first time I've used these type of weapons, so just don't know yet. A lot of questions left there. But here's what the ship looks like. Here's how it flies. That's what it looks like in combat. And those are what the abilities look like. So if you've ever seen people sporing around, you see the ship going here and here and here and here, that you know that's the black alert trait. And if you ever see somebody's ship teleport forward, fire torpedoes, and teleport backwards, then they're using the Lorca maneuver. So two different things there, but they both use the mycilium spore drive to do that. So that's interesting. Not really much else to say. This has just been a preview. I just wanted to put this out there before I do the full review because I want to spend more time with the ship and really try out different builds and things like that. So the full review will come out later in the future. For now, I'm going to leave this as the preview, and you guys let me know in the comments what you think of the ship. Have you flown it? Do you have it? Do you like it? Do you want it? Do you hate it? Do you just not care? Let me know what you all think. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.